It's called the old thing.
Yeah.
What was Betty saying? Niaye.
Betty.
What's the English version of Niaye?
Nyai.
The way it is now.
How it is. How it has become. Anyway. Anyway. The news review is up. By the way, I still haven't got my coffee. Betty, what going? Anyway, the news review is up next, brought to you by Flora Disposable Handkerchief from Delta Paper Mill Limited. What's in the papers?
Well, let's start with the Daily Statesman for today. And six envoys present credentials to President Akufo-Addo's 50% plus one score. And there's always been that debate about 50% plus one. The statisticians say more than 50%, because you can't add percentage and just go for plus one.
Plus one.
Akufo-Addo's more than 50% score confirmed as Asiedu Nketia runs from his own witness statement in court yesterday at the Supreme Court. I'm talking about the pen drive, which he said that, well, he didn't know the content of it because in the case preparation, the election director gave him a lot of information. He had a hard copy. Bank of Ghana maintains policy rate at 14.5%. And the back page says Duke of Cambridge Football Association president calls for racist abuse of footballers to stop. And Messi scores 650th goal for Barcelona with a brilliant free kick against Athletic Bilbao.
Yep. Okay, Winston, you're going to love this. Front page of the Chronicle. Shall I start with the Bible verse?
Yes.
Proverbs 26:19. So is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, was I not joking? Hey. The banner headline, My Lord, I'm a palm wine tapper who is still trying to catch up. Mosquito tells law lords after grueling cross-examination by Akoto Ampao.
Depending on what question he's answering, he will reference one of his previous jobs. So he's been a teacher already. He's been a banker. And he was a palm wine tapper as well.
Who is still trying to catch up.
At the end of this trial, we'll know his full
But he's one person who knows elections very well. And, there's one thing nobody takes away from him. And also based on where you belong in all of this and your understanding of the case, you may say he did well or did not do well.
I think it's fair to say that as a witness, he did a good job of sticking to his brief, if you like.
Yes.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair to say. I mean, he was cross-examined by a very methodical, tough, pedantic prosecutor in Akoto Ampao. I mean, I've not seen anything like that before. He will not let you move even an inch ahead of his predetermined pace. And you answer the question within the confines of the question. He doesn't allow you to use any question as a platform to, go putting out your own message, which is something Asiedu Nketia does well. So yesterday it was quite an even match, if you ask me. But in the end, you have to ask who achieved their goal. Did the witness achieve his goal of putting out his testimony the way he envisages it, or did the prosecutor achieve his goal of discrediting the witness? We'll see.
Anyways, so the other headlines on the front page of the Chronicle, IGP awaits CID reports on death of 2 personnel. And Kojo and Winston, remember I was telling you guys that there's been the second apparent or alleged suicide of policemen. So there was the Hafason North earlier this week, and then yesterday there was another one. And the IGP is waiting for the reports on the death of those 2 personnel. Really, really sad. Suicide rates amongst the police. I think that's something that we should look into in the coming days. Another headline, we saw a reflection of Jean Mensa in our eyes. That's it for the Chronicle.
Well, so the Economic Times says Ghana's debt reaches 286 billion Ghana cedis, and banks robust to stand any external shock. IMF forecast end-year inflation rate of 8.7%, and Ghana to benefit from World Bank emergency vaccine financing. That's at the back page of the Economic Times. We're talking about 21 countries in Africa, including Ghana, are to benefit from a $12 billion World Bank emergency coronavirus vaccine financing support. And the board of the bank is giving authorization for the funds to be given to these countries. And Africa Continental Free Trade Area, I am not tempted to go for the acronym, so I'll go for the full. I wouldn't do that. Implementation, advocacy.
Yeah, you better learn how to.
Advocacy for support to local businesses yielding results.
On the front page of the Daily Guide, I know 2 victims. Takoradi kidnapper has been speaking. Another police officer in suicide. General Constable Eugene Yelnona. I didn't bring my figures, as Asiedun Ketia tells judges. And that's it really for the Daily Guide. On the back page is some sports. So that's it.
Quick update on the Takoradi girls story. So Samuel Udoturk Wills, who is the first accused, started to mount his defense yesterday in court. He claims that he knew the 2, there were 2 Ritas and 2 Priscillas, right? He knew the 2 Priscillas, Bintum and Crunchy. He says that he knew one from church and he met another one somewhere on the street and was a casual friend of his. And that his girlfriend called him to tell him that they had been kidnapped. So he came back from wherever he had traveled to because of that. And when he came back, then he was arrested in some friend's house. And he doesn't know anything about these kidnappings. He was asked why he mentioned the name of the second accused, John something. And he said, I was being tortured by the police, so I gave them a name. And this guy is somebody I know from childhood, so I just mentioned his name. Yeah, so we are yet to get to how come there were remains in his septic tank, but he claims that he had nothing to do with these killings. So.
Okay. The finder says, if your case is bad, even the most skillful general will be exposed. And that's according to Opon Nkrumah. COVID-19 second wave threatens fiscal
Such a dig. Wait,
turnaround.
I feel like there should be a minute silence after that. After that headline, that's such a dig. Such a dig, honestly. Hey, shade, mu shade.
Well, the NDC says they are on course. The MPP also says they are on course. The judges will be
Everybody's
the
in
final
a
determine-
comfortable
I mean,
league.
yes, the judges will determine whose case is the best when the ruling comes out. And Asiedun Ketia fails to produce NDC's own collated figures. Another policeman commits suicide, and CEO of Radio Gold, Bafo Boni, sadly has passed on.
Yeah.
On the front page of the Finder, we're told that he died of COVID-19. Another reason why you should be careful, because now you're getting to know the persons who are dying. Initially, you just heard of the people dying.
Yeah.
Now the numbers are turning to names, names of persons who are close to all of us. And so it's very important. I was telling you yesterday of how there's been 11,842 new cases in January alone. So and there's been 81 people dying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, from March to December 2020, 335 people died.
So that's about 30-something odd people a month, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you have
33.
81
Yeah.
We have 81 in a month.
in a month.
Almost 200%.
Yeah.
So
no, more than
200%.
More than two,
Because
yeah.
it's 35 in a month.
It's actually almost
On the average.
300%.
Now you have 81 in a month. So more than 100% increase. Just be careful. You may think that, COVID is nothing, COVID is nothing. If you're
I
not careful-
wonder, maybe we should put out a question. Is there anybody who doesn't know someone who's died from COVID? Is there anybody who doesn't know someone who has died from COVID? We all know, and how many are we in this city alone? Before you go across to the nation, how many are we in this country? If we all know someone who has died from COVID, then those numbers, Nampu, we have to ask a few questions about them.
Okay.
Last night, by the way, let me just say this quickly. Last night, a friend of mine told me about her mentor, the person who looks after her all this time, died from COVID, and the circumstances are what really bother me. Sorry for
It's
taking
okay.
a minute
No,
with this.
sure.
So he was in ICU for about 3 weeks. Okay, he was in hospital for about 3 weeks, most of that time in ICU. He went in, tested positive, then the complications started. At some point, he tested negative, but the complications continued.
Wow.
Okay, so in the end, he died of pneumonia after he had tested negative. I want us to think about that for a minute. So it's not enough to just get it and then recover. Recovery, Nankasa, has been
It's
redefined
dodgy,
by
isn't
this
it? Yeah,
disease.
Yeah.
He died of pneumonia, right? Days after testing negative. So you're not out of the woods when you test negative.
No, you're not.
That's the kind of virus we're dealing with. It's crazy.
And talking about COVID-19 and the stimulus package, so on the front page of the Finder, 90% of our members received stimulus package. Abosokan spare part dealers thank Akufo-Addo.
Okay. Well, some potentially good news. The Food and Drugs Authority and the National Medicine Regulatory Agency have approved a herbal medicine. It's called Cryptolepis sanguinolenta, locally known as Nibima, for clinical trial as a potential treatment for coronavirus disease. So we're looking forward to that. Looks like that might be some good news. Of course, it's coming from the KNUST research team. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But if that works, that would be amazing to have something, locally made, locally grown, locally sourced that can deal with COVID-19. But in the meantime, wear your mask.
Please.
Wash your
wear your
hands.
mask.
Stay at home if you don't have anywhere important to go, and don't forget to physically distance yourself, even from the people you love. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, ongoing election petition, Akufo-Addo crossed 50% plus one to win election. That's according to Akoto Ampao. Government tightens restrictions to curb COVID-19 surge. And that story, another policeman commits suicide in Accra. And Kojo, I remember that we had discussed that at some point this week. We really want to talk about mental health. We've been so focused on COVID that for a while we may have neglected mental health a little bit, but
Especially
also
mental health in relation
associated
to
exactly
COVID. Yes,
associated
yes.
with COVID. A friend of mine who had COVID also had very serious depression, because obviously he had to be by himself, and not really interacting with people, and obviously the fear, the anxiety, and not knowing, like you said, you could test negative and then still lose your life because of some complication. So we'll spend some time and talk about, but take care of your mental health if you're out there. If you need some help, speak up about how you're feeling. It's important, very, very important.
It's sad that as a society we don't really understand mental health.
Yeah.
Let me just say it that way to be polite. We don't quite understand it. And so we kind of stigmatize it and make it difficult for people to confront it. But I think, it's my personal view, that perhaps if you look at the difference between developing and developed parts of the world, maybe one of the big significant differences is that they actually prioritize mental health.
Yeah.
If your mind is sound, why would you not be more productive? If you're thinking correctly about things, why would you not do them correctly?
Exactly.
So we really need to pay attention. It's a massive gap in our development profile, in our health. Look, when you look at the budget every year and how little is dedicated to it, it's embarrassing. All right. And with the treatment of COVID, I don't even think any amount of CDs has been allocated to, the mental health aspect of it. But
So we'll have a conversation on that at some point in
Yes,
the week.
and let's get to the daily graphic. It says, still on the election petition, I never implied Mahama won. That's according to Johnson Asiedu Nketia. And ban on social gathering affected industry players count cost. FDA approves a clinical trial for COVID-19 medicine. The back page, illegal mining threatens one district, one factory project, in Obuasi. And we're told that, the one district, one factory project in Obuasi municipality, which is into oil palm processing, is facing imminent collapse following invasion of the oil palm plantation by illegal miners.
So Winston brought a headline about the fact that the ban on social gathering, is affecting a lot of people. So this morning I was thinking, right, if you have an event, if you have a wedding, you have a funeral, you have a party, and you've paid your deposits to your MC, to your suppliers, and to all of that, how are you going to get your money back? And for the vendors as well, who have received deposits and all of that, are they how deposits? Remember we did answer it, right? How are they going to find money, to pay back. So if you're a vendor or if you had an event, text us 05511111997 or tweet at us, Joy SMS. We'll open the phone lines at some point because I think we want to maybe have a conversation about what that's like, what that actually means for the
I saw, I saw something on Facebook. One of my friends in Takrad, in Shiraba Park with Simpson. He says, well, I have 5 funerals for the month of February.
Wow.
All have paid me. I have spent the money.
Jesus.
So
Lord.
please, no refund.
Allah.
When you reschedule, I would come and do the event. But until then, don't come and
Don't
ask
for
me
refund.
for refunds.
But I wonder, I mean, I wonder if you already have a no refund policy, and I think that's important for service providers, people who do these events, you have to have a policy already. Okay, deposits are for a reason. You know, maybe you need to hold something, you need to buy some things in advance, you need to book something. So they are for a reason, and it's important. It's important to ensure that your customer understands. So if there's a no refund policy, they know already. But you see, the thing is, for those who have paid this deposit, who will now not get the benefit of their, it must be crushing, eh?
Oh yeah. So we'll talk about it a little more after the BBC.
You know, I've started to organize a funeral.
Yes.
And well, that's not going to happen now. So
Yeah.
I'm in a similar situation.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. It's a great topic, I think. Thanks for that, Nimwa. All right, the online review.
Let me just check in this one. Finally, Business and Financial Times that says pandemic's new wave pushes Bank of Ghana to stay policy rate again.
Yeah. Right. The online review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and GOIL Good Energy. GOIL, of course. It's the home of good energy. When you go there with your GH Link card, you can pay for fuel and lubricants with it, and it's brilliant because it means you can, monitor your expenses on your bank statement because every purchase will be recorded there. So go cashless and protect yourself and stick to all the COVID-19 protocols in these times. GOIL, Good Energy. GOIL, Yenara, Yenze. Right, what's on My Joy Online?
All right, so really quickly, Akufo-Addo names 11 Council of State appointees. There's a playback of a Supreme Court resuming hearing of Mahama's election petition. Let's move to City Newsroom really quickly. Okay, Insia Asare outlines population segments for COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Akufo-Addo renews tenure of BOG. Governor Nana-Addo makes appointments to Council of State. And finally, on the BBC, U.S. threatens sanctions over... Can you pronounce that for me? Myanmar coup, Africa Live, Zimbabwe arrests female activists after protests. That's it. Let's go to some messages and then the BBC.
All right, we've got messages.
Yes, from our sponsors.
Okay.
Hey, Baba, Charlie, I want a haircut. Quick, I have somewhere to be before noon.
Charlie, why are you in so much hurry? It's a woman, huh?
I want to use the bank in the city to get some money out.
All the way in the city. But Charlie, you know say I be FBN Bank Ghana agent. I help all my customers and neighbors make deposits into their account, withdrawals, transfer funds, pay bills, and receive money. This is my side hustle.
Charlie, I beg.